Welcome in everyone to a Friday edition of the Vendetta Sports Daily Show. I am Germani DePena. Along with me again is Matt. Matt, hope you're doing good. I'm pretty sure you're ecstatic over like the last couple of days. I know I'm happy. We got a lot of NBA stuff to talk about. So Matt, how you doing today? I'm ready to get started. I'm having a good day today. I woke up feeling great. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. Yeah, no, it's been a wild last couple of weeks in terms of Heat basketball.
Hell
As
yeah.
I'm sure we'll get into. But no, man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Where do you want to start with all this? I mean, I know, yeah, playoffs are going on. I know you want to get into some MLB stuff, but like, where's your head at? How are you feeling after last night?
You know what? That's good. Let's just lead in with just NBA stuff then. Where to start with this damn Celtics team from yesterday? Um, it's I'm trying to just try to generate like the best possible response without going like on a huge tangent. But I watched the second half of the game. I was in the middle of stuff, so I wasn't able to catch until after halftime. But I knew it was like the Hawks weren't just going away. So it's more a credit to them, especially seeing what the work Miami did. So that probably gave them like kind of blew their heads up a little bit more and gave them that extra confidence to take care of things. But the second half, it seemed like it was night and day for that, at least for the Hawks stars anyway. But let's pretty much there was like a final sequence. I'm not sure if you were able to watch the game, but there was the final sequence of I believe like the last 4 minutes of the game when you had Al Horford hit a corner three, and then you had Jalen get a block on Murray, and then Tatum with the putback dunk, and like those like it just all started clicking. They played like a team wanting to make the finals. Like pretty much they played like the team that people were anticipating them to play like. If they played like that in Game 5, we would have just been worrying about Philadelphia come Monday. But for me, I'm just happy they closed it out and they weren't playing not to lose like they did on during Game 5. So I'm ecstatic seeing how they closed that game out.
Well, yeah, no, because they went up. I think Atlanta went up 3 with that Capella lob. And it was just like, wait. I mean, I know there was still probably like 6.5 minutes left when that happened, but it was just like, wait, are they actually going to pull this out? But then, yeah, you're right. That's kind of sequence of events, and all of a sudden you're looking at it, and it's like, wait, Boston's up by 8 now. Like, what? They were just down 2 seconds ago. Like, what's going on? But that was like, I mean, that was the turning point because for a while, especially in the second half, it was just a one possession game back and forth the entire time. At least that's what it felt like. I was able to watch bits and pieces of it live. I rewatched the highlights and stuff after the fact because I was on the Vendetta NFL draft stream last night with Jackson, and that's what happens when you get two basketball heads. You get two basketball heads analyzing an NFL draft. We're just like, yeah, we're very amateur with this NFL stuff, but like there are times that we were watching the game, so. Yeah, so I was like, I didn't watch like the whole thing play by play live, but we did lock in the last few minutes because Jackson was also the same thing. Like we just looked for a second, Tatum hits that putback, and then I think there was another shot. I can't remember what it was to go up 8. And it was just like, wait, they were just down like 2 seconds ago, like. And that point, it was like 2 minutes left, and so it was practically all she wrote.
Yeah, they just needed to remain locked in. I feel at least like especially it was funny they were down. I think the Hawks were down 6, and then they just couldn't get the ball in. And
Yeah, right.
That's when I cut the game off. I was like, all right, but it was
4
just
times.
Yeah. I'm like that's insane. But also it's the spot where they're trying to pass it out from. So and they were saying that on commentary, saying that's like one of the worst spots to try to get the ball in from. And like obviously they didn't want to try to burn their time out. But just I'll give that Hawks team credit, even though I still held on to my prediction of it being like a sweep or 5 games, which it very much should have been. But yeah, I guess looking forward to Philadelphia, I guess I would want to get your thoughts, just to, like look into round 2 a little bit because I believe game 1 starts on Monday for them.
Yeah.
So just give me your thoughts about that matchup.
I mean, it sucks because Embiid's not healthy. And so it's like, or at least from like someone from an outsider's perspective who, I mean, yeah, it gives Boston the advantage clearly, but it makes me even more interested if Embiid is healthy, because I mean this isn't the first time that Embiid's dealt with injuries. He had an orbital fracture last year. I'm pretty sure he had a leg injury the year before. Like he's gotten injured in the playoffs, and that's unfortunate because it's like I want the stars to be healthy. I want everyone to be healthy. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but that's just the reality of the situation when it comes to the NBA playoffs. To make it far, you're going to need injury luck. That's just, you need to stay out. It's not necessarily who's the most talented or who's the best team. It's who's the most healthy and who's the most dependable. And unfortunately for Joel Embiid, that hasn't been the case for at least Philadelphia in his case with these injuries now over the last several years. But it makes me even more interested to see how they're going to defend him, because I know the formula that you would preferably want to have if you're Boston is to go small and kind of go that route and space the floor. So that means you're probably looking at a lot of Al Horford small 5 lineups. But in the instances where they either go 2 bigs or Rob's on the floor, I wonder how they're going to defend that. Are they going to have Rob defend Embiid? Are they just going to do that straight up? Are they going to have Rob in the corner on PJ Tucker and have him help off and kind of be that roamer? Like it makes me even more interested to see how they do that. Are they gonna double Embiid off the catch, considering he's compromised? Or are they gonna just play him straight up and just be like, no, we're just gonna have you beat us without Horford on you? Like what I'm guessing, I'm trying to figure out like what that entails. Are they gonna be even more comfortable with having like a Tatum on him? If that comes in a switch or in a cross match, like are they gonna be more comfortable with having guys like, I don't know, Jaylen Brown on him, Grant Williams? I mean, I'm sure Grant Williams is going to get some run on him just to throw an extra body at him. Again, how are they going to do that? Are they going to play it exactly like Brooklyn did? Again, double him off the catch, or are they going to wait till he takes a couple of dribbles? Like what? And then it's most importantly, how are they going to try to pick on Embiid defensively? Like how often are they going to use him in the pick and roll? How often are you going to try to get him involved in actions because he is compromised? Like, or not because he's compromised, but like since he is compromised, like how are they going to get him involved in these actions? How are they going to take him away from the rim and kind of disrupt him from that being that outstanding, monstrous rim protecting force that he can be, especially the last couple of months, because he's been phenomenal defensively. He was fairly good defensively, I'd say, in that Brooklyn series, even though Brooklyn's offense was just a little bit weird outside of Bridges and outside of Johnson. They were just hooking up threes. Like how are they gonna attack Embiid? I mean, I know Boston is one of the most frequent 3-point shooting teams. That's kind of the Missoula ball. That's kind of what we see all year. And there's a lot of variance that comes with that. You know, there's some nights where Boston's going to hit 20 of 42 from deep or whatever the number is. There's going to be other nights where they only hit 6 or 7 threes. That's the variance of 3-point shooting. And just with how often they shoot threes, I don't think that's going to be really the case. At least the latter, I don't think it is, because if you shoot 50, 55 threes or whatever the number would be, especially with Embiid protecting the rim, even though he is compromised, well, then you're looking at, okay, they're probably going to hit at least 10 to 15 just based on the percentages of it. But how is that going to really – how is Embiid's injury, how is Harden not being able to get to the free throw line, which is weird. He hasn't gotten to the free throw line more than 10 times since mid-March. And I know he's missed time since then, but that's a problem. If you're Philly, at least. Like, I think it was like he finished with 8 or 9 free throws in the last game against Brooklyn, but he still hasn't gotten to the line a lot. He's still not really been efficient at all from 2. I saw a stat this morning where he went only 9 of 30, which is 30% from 2 in the Brooklyn series. Like, that's a problem. That can't happen if you're, especially if Joel Embiid is compromised and injured. That can't happen if you're Philly. It's just fact of the matter. No matter how good Tyrese Maxey is, no matter how lightning in a bottle, I don't know, Jalen McDaniels or PJ Tucker's hitting threes, that just can't happen if you're Philly. You got to have an efficient Harden. You got to have a good Harden, and especially you have to have a good Embiid, because Boston, as you know, is more equipped and they're better at doing what Brooklyn does because they have better personnel, because they have more depth. They're just a better team. That's just, Brooklyn was probably the worst team in this field, or one of the worst teams in this field. Boston is one of the best teams in this field. That goes without saying. And so I just from all of that, like, I'm interested to see, and just in summary, I'm interested to see how each team attacks one another and how they go about that, and how really Boston goes about defending the MVP of the league, or the presumptive MVP.
Yeah, I feel like if he doesn't get it this year, I feel like it's like, all right, then it's kind of, I feel like it's his to lose now, I guess, especially with all the fanfare surrounding it. But just to your point about speaking on Brooklyn, I feel that Brooklyn series didn't really put Philadelphia in the I wouldn't say in the like I feel like they haven't been battle tested in the playoffs yet. I don't think Brooklyn gave them much of a scare, no matter like the box scores and stuff, because they were just like, to your point, they were just very weird offensively. And just to see how they stack up against other top teams in the East, or at least to the Celtics anyway, I feel that the Celtics are like, I feel like they ended off on a really good note with that final game in Atlanta. And I feel, to be honest, I don't like, even if it might be detrimental to like their how far they get in the postseason. I believe they played damn near like they were trying to force, like they played like back-to-back game sevens in series last season. I believe it was the semifinals, the conference finals, and then they went out to Golden State in six. Like they played a lot of postseason games. For me, as a fan, I would like for them not to have that many, but also I guess I wouldn't want this team to not have so many days off. But I guess in Philadelphia's case, the more days off, it's like the better you can have for Embiid anyway. But yeah, I mean, depending on how compromised he is with his lingering injuries and all that, I feel like I had the Celtics beating Philadelphia in this series anyway. I have the Celtics making it all the way, and actually, especially like even talking about a series in a little bit about your Miami Heat. I just feel that this Celtics team, if they played how they played in those last 4 minutes of that Hawks game, and they take that energy and that kind of that drive into this Philadelphia series, especially with the compromise of Embiid, I feel like the Celtics can win handily, if that's the right word for it.
Handedly,
But
yeah. So yeah,
it's
one of those
weird.
weird words.
English language is a weird concept. But
Yep.
To talk about Harden though, when Harden was traded to Philadelphia, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I feel if they would have got him a few years earlier, it's an absolutely great move. I think with James Harden is that James Harden will go down as one of the best players at his position, and he would kind of be a defining piece of 2010s and obviously like a bit of the 2020s, like that decade plus of basketball. And like no shot on him, but I believe the dude's like he's 33, the 33, 34, and he's more of a I feel like he's more about getting his teammates more involved. He's more of like that point guard, and that's what you got him for. But then you extended him for those extra couple of years. I just don't know how much of like peak James Harden you're gonna get in terms of him being like a key factor or the key factor in a championship run anymore. And it kind of sucks to look at it that way, because like we grew up watching him be dominant left and right, being the guy who can get you a 60-point triple double. And even if I still don't buy Philly as a threat until they show me something. You know what I mean? So just like the last couple of years, yeah, it might have been bad luck with injuries or just bad playoff matchups or a crazy shot by Kawhi Leonard. So it's been a mix of bad luck for them. But I feel that I feel like we'll see what this Philadelphia team is made of in this series against Boston, even though I still have the Celtics moving on.
No, I agree with you. I mean, again, I think Boston would have won too. But it's been ridiculously hard to predict these playoffs, as again, we'll probably talk about in a little bit, because just weird shit has happened all over the place. We almost saw the Suns and the Clippers go more games several times. I mean, I know it was a closer game 5 at the end and at the beginning. I mean, I know Phoenix separated themselves at least a little bit in that second half to give them some breathing room. But it's just been a weird playoffs all over the place, just like the injuries and stuff. And again, like injuries like that shit unfortunately happens. I mean, I wish it didn't happen, but sometimes even the best teams just suffer multiple injuries that can possibly derail a season depending on the series that you're in. That's just the reality of the situation. And Philadelphia was in a situation where they were kind of hoping that last night would go to a game 7 just to give Embiid more rest, because I don't think it would have started until like either Tuesday or Wednesday or probably something like that if that were actually the case. And I think, at least in this instance, more rest would be good for them. Just to kind of also, again, because it's like they're they're not old, but like PJ Tucker's 37, 38 years old. Like James Harden is approaching his mid-30s. I don't know exactly what his age is. I'm bad with ages just when it comes to athletes in general. I'd be like, oh, they're in like their early 30s, just to give like an idea. But they're in a situation to where it's like, I don't know. I also, like, you have to factor in Doc. He, as a playoff coach, I don't mean to be like a complete butthead, but he has not been that good recently. Like there's just times where like the rotation just gets weird, and it's just like I don't know what to do with this. Like I remember there's been times where it's like he's running out like all bench lineups in important spots in games, and he's just like, all right, like what exactly are we doing here? Or he just gets completely out schemed, which happens to what you have. Someone has to win and someone has to lose, but in terms of like the schematics and like the stubbornness, like it feels like he's either been too stubborn with certain things, or like he just gets out schemed, or sometimes both in a series. And that's also can be a problem, especially when you're facing a team like the Boston Celtics, who kind of have that solidified 8-9 man rotation. And of course, as the playoff series goes on, the more the rotation will shrink. And so it's like you might not have to rely on your bench that much, but every coach has their different philosophies with that stuff. Some coaches, depending on the personnel that they have, want to go 7, 8 deep. Other coaches are like, we can stretch it to 8 or 9 or 10 and possibly get something out of this, whatever the case is. But again, it just all sucks because I think if I were to do it today, I think Boston wins in probably 5, maybe 6.
Wow.
Because I don't know how again, I just don't know how healthy Embiid is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I see your point about that.
Like a sprained LCL or something like that. Again, I don't know where the LCL is. I don't know. Or at least relative to my knee. Like, I don't know where that's at. I'm guessing it's around like the ACL and the MCL. But like knee injuries, and especially for 7, like I just don't know how that'll affect his play. I don't know how aggressive he'll be. Again, I'm interested to see in game 1, like how Boston elects to defend him when he is compromised. Teams, I mean, I don't remember what they did in the regular season. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, rewatch that. But I just think the formula for beating Philly is going small, and that includes like the Marcus Smart, Derek White, Brown, Tatum, and Horford lineups. Or even if you want to substitute Rob for Horford, you can do that as well, even though that kind of condenses the spacing a little bit, at least in the middle, which I also think that's going to be interesting because it's like if the Celtics go small and try to stretch the floor, maybe we see Grant small ball 5 lineups just to kind of see where they put Embiid. I mean, I'm sure they're going to help off him in the corner, and they're just going to stick him there and just be like, you know what, Grant Williams just beat us. Hit 5 threes. Try to beat us that way. And I'm sure that's what Philly would do in that certain situation. But it's like, I don't know how they're going to try to move Embiid around and see, are they going to pre-switch him? Are they going to try to eliminate him from all those actions as much as they can? I have no idea. That's why I'm so interested to see kind of what this looks like from like a Boston offense, Philly defensive standpoint, because there's multiple ways that Philly can try to keep him around the rim and like kind of limit that mobility and keep Tatum, Brown, Derek White, et cetera, out of the middle and out of the rim. Because it's like, if Embiid's there, I just wonder how all that goes with his knee. I have no idea. I'm just spewing shit. I'm out loud. I'm talking this out because it's like I have no idea what Joe Mazzulla is thinking right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so caught up on the fact you said 5, like. But I can see where you were going with that, like depending on
maybe I don't know, man. It's tough. I mean, if Philly hits, Philly's been one of the most efficient 3-point shooting teams in these playoffs, despite having these low scoring games. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it right now. They're tied for third, actually, with Boston in 3-point percentage these playoffs. They've attempted 33.3 per game. I wonder what that's over per 100 possessions. Hold on, let me do this quickly. Yeah, per 100 possessions, they were 7th out of the 16 playoff teams in 3-point attempts. They were knocking down nearly 41% of their attempts, but again, it's like you're gonna have there's variance to that. There's regression that could come to. I mean, Philly was the best 3-point shooting team in the regular season, so maybe that point is entirely moot. But like, you're gonna need PJ Tucker to hit threes if Embiid's not healthy. You're gonna need Tyrese Maxey. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's awesome. I think he'll probably be one of the better players in the series, anyways, especially if James Harden can't. Again, James Harden's not attacking the rim. He's not getting to the free throw line. Like, I'm sure he's gonna be hucking up threes. I'm sure Tyrese is going to be hucking up threes. I'm sure, I don't know, Georges Niang will be hucking up threes. I'm sure PJ, who else am I missing? I don't know, McDaniels. Again, I'm just trying to think of names here. I know I'm missing names, but I'm sure those guys are going to be hucking up threes. But there is variance to this, especially when Boston defensively, at least outside of Rob, they're pretty switchy. And so it's like they're going to try to flatten Philly out with this. They're not going to let Harden get downhill. They're not going to let Maxey get downhill. But that also depends. Are they going to switch with Horford? Kind of like what they did late in that Atlanta series, which is weird. I mean, usually they're dropping Horford, but Trey was getting that matchup, and he felt like he was getting downhill more so towards the end of that series than he was at the beginning of that series, and that's kind of what helped him. I wonder if Boston kind of attacks Maxey in that same way, who's also very quick. I mean, I wouldn't want to have Horford in space against Tyrese Maxey, but that's just me. Me.
I would say it's kind of nice to not have to deal with somebody who can shoot from like 35 feet out, 30, 45 feet out. Something. I'm not sure what, like, in terms of like distances, but well beyond the 3-point line, like, because you had the last 2 playoff series they had was against one of them, if not the greatest shooter of all time. And then their very next season, they're going up against Trae Young, who forced the game 6 with that deep ass 3. And just seeing the drop coverage and stuff like that, like, it was giving me memories of the finals, or I guess nightmares of the finals. Just like, I'm like, what the hell are we doing? But
I was still flabbergasted by that. I think I actually wrote something for the site, like, Boston can't keep doing this. But it's also, they were also trying to eliminate, they were trying to restrict movement and the cuts from Thompson, from Curry, and everything like that. But it's like, if you're playing drop on Curry and you're not getting elite screen navigation from Smart or from Derek White or from whatever, like, you're screwing yourself if you do that. Like, you are literally like just being like, no, Curry, hit these threes, these wide open threes. And I don't know if it was also because of, like, they were trying to help out the legs of Horford and the legs of Rob, because I mean, we know, especially with Rob, like, we know if you don't want him to use his legs so much when he's not around the rim. And they stationed him in the corner a lot, especially late that season. They kind of just had him as like a roaming rim protector. But it's like, at the same time, like, I didn't know. I don't know if they were trying to restrict the mobility of him or what. The same thing with Horford, especially since he was, again, there was a lot of mileage under those legs. At least that season in particular, and just throughout his career. Like, I don't know how tired his legs were. I don't know if he was dealing with any injuries, but they were also trying to restrict, again, the movements and the cuts from Thompson, from Steph, from Wiggins, from whomever, from Draymond when he draws to the ball for some reason. Like, they were just trying to restrict that, but at the same time, you're completely fucking yourself.
Yeah, so it was just it's just a nice change of pace. It's gonna be interesting to see how that series plays out. I wanted to ask you about, like, just say, like, just going back to like the Boston and 5 kind of deal. If Philadelphia loses in that kind of fashion, do you see James Harden leaving?
There's been a lot of smoke. There's been a lot of Houston smoke, and I don't know how true all that is. I mean, I know The Athletic has come out with stuff about, like, Kelly Iko, and I don't know if it was Shams, may have been Shams, but they've come out with pieces detailing how there's still a beneficial mutual, like there's still a good relationship that he has in Houston with like the ownership and stuff, even though it ended pretty poorly. And like I think he has like a home in Houston, like he has a lot of stuff there. And so it's like maybe I don't know. Like I'm more so wondering like if there's going to be any personnel changes elsewhere or really coaching changes. Like, is this if they lose in 5? Again, I think it's either 5 or 6. I don't think it makes it to 7. But dude, I don't know about anything when it comes to these playoffs anymore.
Yeah. So I mean,
I say that now, and it's probably gonna be like Philly in 5 or something. Not to throw that in the air on you, but
yeah, it was just something crazy. I mean, both conferences. So it's been a bloodbath. It seems all over the place, and it's only going to get worse. So it's going to be interesting to see how Monday night turns out. I believe game 1 starts Monday in the Garden. So yeah, let's go over to the other Eastern Conference round 2 matchup, because I believe round 2 is set for the East now. So you got the New York Knicks against your Miami Heat. I wanted to ask you before we dive into Heat versus the Knicks, which I'm excited for, but with just like this is the first time I'm talking to you since I believe last Tuesday before when Giannis was out with the back and everything like that. And now Jimmy had himself 2 very spectacular games, and Giannis, like I believe that Heat team is the first play-in team to win a playoff series, and the fourth 8th seed to knock off a 1 seed. So I wanted to know what was going through your mind, and where does Milwaukee go from here? Because we'll dive into Miami and their matchup with the Knicks in a little bit.
Well, I think they're the 4th team in the sense it became a 7-game series. The 4th 8th seed since the 7-game series. I think they were the 6th overall. Ironically enough, the Heat were at the wrong end of one of those. They lost to the Knicks, I think, in '99 as a 1 seed. Switch. So now they play the Knicks again, just ironically enough. What I thought of this series was, what the hell just happened? Like, no, like I've sent this on Twitter. I've sent this to a couple other coworkers. Like, did that after Game 5? I sent like multiple group texts being like, did that really just happen? Because it's just like Jimmy went. I mean, we'll get into Miami in a little bit, but like Jimmy just went completely bonkers. When we dive deeper into that, I can go deeper into that. But like he went completely bonkers, it was one of the more stunning upsets that I've ever seen in a playoff series, especially in the first round. Because I don't remember. It happened in 2012 with Philly. I want to say it happened in 2011. It may have been with the Warriors or someone else. I can't remember who. But just from what I can remember, I don't remember an 8 seed beating a 1 seed. And so for me, this was like a first. And the fact that it was Miami over a Milwaukee team who, albeit Giannis wasn't healthy for 2 3/4 of a game. And so it's like, but still, nevertheless, they were the more talented team. Even without Giannis, they were the better shooting team. They had more size, like on paper, I'm saying. They were the deeper team. Like the team just constructed heading into the series, this team was better. I mean, Miami throughout the season, it's wildly inconsistent. The team that I saw for 84 games wasn't the team I just watched for 5 games. I can sure shit tell you that. But where Milwaukee goes from here, like, I mean, where do you start? I mean, Middleton's going to be, I think he has a player option. I think Lopez, he has a player option or he's a free agent. Drew's going to be making $37 million, $38 million. I think next year Giannis is hitting mid-40s in terms of money. I think he's going to be hitting $45 million. I don't know if Mike Budenholzer coaches another game especially after that series. Jesus Christ, who the hell knows? I mean, they have a lot of big picture questions to answer. Like, what's the future with Chris, who's I think 32 going on 33? What's the future like with Brooke? Is he going to be coming back, or are they going to go a different route? I'm pretty sure, yeah. I mean, I would assume there's a greater than 95, 96, 97% chance that Giannis will be there for at least the next couple of years, but who the heck knows what will happen. Where do they go with like the remainder of their depth? Because it's like Joe Ingles, I believe, is now a free agent, or he's like up there in age. What names am I missing? Like, I don't know what the contract situations look like for Grayson Allen or Pat Connaughton, but it's like, do they like what do they? Same thing with Bobby Portis. Like, I can pull up like Spot Track here in a second, but like, what exactly is their plan? Like, how are they going to address like what just happened? Because it's like, again, they were on paper probably the most complete team heading into the regular season or heading into the postseason. And everything that just happened doesn't make a lick of sense for really anyone involved, Milwaukee included, albeit even with the Giannis injury. So it's like I don't necessarily know I don't know what to do with this. I sure don't know what to do with this as a Miami fan, but I don't know what to do with this as a Milwaukee fan either. Because it's like, okay, is this like an underlying problem? Because it's like, yeah, they've been bounced earlier in the series than they would like, and what they lost last year in the conference semis to Boston in 7. They won the title 2 years ago, which was a great run, but they got also bounced by Miami in 5 in the conference semis 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever that was. So it's like, what exactly are we to do with all of this? They lost in the conference finals to Toronto in 6 games 4 years ago, 4 years ago. So it's I don't know what to do with this. I really genuinely don't. Like, I don't know how really any of this makes sense, because it's like Milwaukee was a middle of the pack offensive team, but they were a top 4 defense. They just allowed a team who was 25th in defense and 27th in 3-point percentage to shoot 45% from deep over a 5-game span, whether it was contested, uncontested, open, whatever.
Didn't matter.
And Miami was the most efficient offense through these 5 games, like, or at least, I mean, I think Phoenix surpassed them after what they did in game 5 against the Clippers. But regardless, they're scoring 119 points per 100 possessions. Miami was dog shit in the regular season offensively. With the process at times, they couldn't hit shots. Like, the shooting regressed everywhere. And so the fact that they're even in this position right now, like, this was even like last year.
What was supposed to happen?
But it's just, I don't know what to do with this. I really don't, because none of this makes sense at all.
And see, that's the beauty of sports. And it's funny how this postseason has already started to kick off a little bit. It reminds me a lot of the MLB postseason a little bit, with unpredictability, which I think is awesome. But yeah, just to, I guess, put my 2 cents in on Milwaukee. I want to say this first about Giannis. First and foremost, I saw the clip has made its way around social media with the reporter saying, was the season a failure? And Giannis made like the best response that somebody could, or at least an athlete in that position who just lost a playoff series could ever give. And so, like, if you guys haven't seen that, make sure to go check it out. It's all over Twitter. But so that's like, I'll give Giannis the credit. Like, if he was healthy enough to stay on the floor, he would have, and I'm sure he would have made the series different. I mean, either way, I think Jimmy still would have been Jimmy. So I think saying like Miami would have got bounced out in 5, I guess it's like, obviously hindsight's 2020, but either way, like when if Jimmy's playing like that, he can make it a series, whether or not Giannis was on the floor. But also
Miami was without their second leading scorer and their third best player, along with Victor Oladipo, plus Bam playing on one hamstring, plus Jimmy bruising his bottom in game 3, and still coming out in game 4 and 5 and doing what he did, scoring 98 combined points. Like, that Miami wasn't healthy either.
Yeah.
That doesn't make the sum of it similar to Giannis, because Giannis is, again, a perennial MVP candidate.
Yeah. So
But still, Miami wasn't necessarily the healthiest either, and they were missing one of their best shot creators and still somehow won this damn series in 5 games. I still don't know how this happened.
Hey, it's a testament mainly to Jimmy Butler, because I think without Jimmy, then I said this about De'Aaron Fox, Jimmy Butler is the engine that keeps Miami going. So he was definitely the catalyst for that. But yeah, with Milwaukee, I feel they're probably going to make, I would say, a lot of reactionary moves especially being like, okay, I've seen enough. Like, I don't want to like. I feel like one of like these things are gonna happen. They're gonna do something about Chris Middleton. They may move on from him, or they may fire Budenholzer. Yeah, he may go and have to fight his way back to another job, or maybe there's a team that is out of a coach that needs like some championship experience. So I feel like if he's out as the Bucks coach, I don't think he would have a shortage of suitors anyway. But also I believe Giannis signed that extension of his with Milwaukee. I believe it was like the 4 or 5 year supermax like a few years ago at this point. So
I
people are
think he's in
starting
line
to,
for another one too. I think he has 2 years left on it.
yeah. So it's like that's something to think about. Like how like these are going to be like the 2 most important years in Bucks history if they don't start turning things around. Obviously, you have Drew for the long haul, and it's crazy watching some of the highlights. And Jimmy was like he was going at Drew Holiday, like trash talking. He was pointing up at the scoreboard, being like, "Look how much I got! Look how much I got!" So,
Oh my god, yeah.
yeah,
I got some numbers for you on that, but go on.
yeah. So, I feel like Milwaukee will be fine. I feel that I think it's just about time for those guys to actually start maybe retooling a little bit and getting some new pieces or more pieces anyway to kind of solidify. Because yeah, you got Giannis, but I feel the supporting cast around him needs to be a little bit better. I feel like Chris Middleton hasn't been the same since that he went down last year, but I feel like it's just a changes in order for Milwaukee, especially after this loss to Miami. But I mean, hey, I got the series I was looking forward to in Miami versus New York. But I'll give you the floor with those numbers you were talking about.
Well, first off, I'm looking at some of the contract stuff.
Okay.
Lopez is a free agent. Jake Crowder, who they traded 5 second-round picks for, and who only played 41 total minutes in the series. Hashtag yikes. I don't know if that's Bud Crowder, what the case is. He's a free agent. Ingles is a free agent. Goran Dragic, who they picked up off the buyout market, my guy Gogi. He's a free agent. Myers Leonard's like Wesley Matthews is a free agent. Javon Carter, who I liked, has a $2.2 million player option. Chris Middleton has a $40.4 million player option. Drew Holiday's under contract for 2 more years, one being a player option. Giannis is on contract for 2 more guaranteed years plus a player option in 25-26 for $51.9 million. Bobby Portis is on contract for 2 more years plus a player option in 25-26. Same thing with Connaughton. I mean, they have Marjan Beauchamp, who showed some flashes as a rookie, but he's also he's got 3 more years left at least on his rookie deal. Should those 2 team options be picked up in those final 2 seasons? So it's like they have plenty of decisions to make. Like I don't, especially with the new CBA and how they have the second tax apron with over 100 with 20 plus million dollars allocated to Giannis, Chris, and Drew, or at least around that mark. With that tax apron possibly being 100, or that second tax apron being, I don't know how they're electing to smooth that in, but if it was 17.5 million over the original projected tax, that's probably about 178.5, 179 million. So it's like, I wonder what type of decisions they make just around that. And if they even want to exceed that, because again, if you exceed that, well, then your draft pick moves to the end of the first round. Not that it would matter for them much anyways. You can't trade more money than you can receive. So that's a problem. At least I don't believe that was the case. And then it's also like you can't use your mid-level exception or your taxpayer mid-level exception, which they would have use for, which is I think going to be 6 and 7 million. So it's like there's even more fallouts for exceeding that second tax haven. But it's like, all right, like what type of decisions are you going to make trying to manipulate around this? Are you going to try to trade Middleton? Is there going to be a suitor if he picks up that player option? Like what exactly is your plan there? Are you going to bring back Lopez? Are you going to bring back Crowder, Ingles, whatever the case is, for cheaper contracts, or at least try to get them on the cheaper because they're in their mid-30s. Who in the hell knows what their market's going to be? They don't have any max cap. I mean, I think they have the bird rights for at least Lopez. I think you'd actually be the only one they have. They would have the bird rights for if that were the case. And Middleton if he somehow opted out. But other than that, like, you can't offer these guys a lot of money anyways. And so are these guys going to be going elsewhere? Guys with cap space or mid-level money or whatever the case is. So it's like they have plenty of decisions to make. But going on, I mean, I talked about this in other spaces before. And we want to stray away from Miami a little bit, at least to start this. But Jimmy kicked the shit out of Milwaukee. Like, I tweeted this after the game on what was it? Wednesday of the game? Yeah, it was on Wednesday.
I think so, yeah.
125 of his 188 total points in this series were on either Drew, Chris, Brooke, or Giannis. That's nearly 2/3 of your points, not counting free throws. He scored 66 points on 57% shooting when Drew was his primary defender. He scored 43 points on 63% shooting when Brooke was his primary defender. He scored 16 on 50% shooting when Middleton was his primary defender, and 12 points on 86% shooting when Giannis was his primary defender, albeit a smaller sample. He scored 27 combined points on Jay, Grayson, and Connaughton, who were kind of their weaker, or not Connaughton, Ingles, who were kind of their weaker defenders, on 59% shooting, and then 16 points on 86% shooting when Portis was his primary defender. That's not all the 125 points, because obviously there's more people involved, but of those 125 points, he did that on 59% shooting on those 4 defenders.
Crazy.
He gave them buckets.
Gave them the business.
Like, he gave them the business. Like, he was not getting stopped in this series. He averaged 38 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists on 59% shooting, 44% from deep, and with a 67% true shooting percentage. This is against a top 5 defense with 4 elite defenders, or 4 really good to elite defenders. Again, I know Middleton has lost a little bit athletically, but he's still not a bad defender.
One of them are the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, like he's still, and he's playing alongside Giannis, and he's playing alongside Brooke to kind of to help him on that back line a little bit. But like, he kicked the living you-know-what. Like, among just series and Heat history, like, this is absolutely one of the best.
Oh,
just
yeah.
From, like, the context of it, even though it is the first round, it's an 8 seed going against a 1 seed, dude. I mean, right. 8 seeds in history don't have a Jimmy Butler. That's just the reality of the situation. But he was that dominant in this series when he needed to be.
Yeah,
especially in game 4 when, again, Miami was down double digits. He wasn't getting much help elsewhere. He rattled off 22 in the first quarter, scored 22 of the 28 points. And then he only scored 2 in the second, but 11 in the third, 21 in the fourth, including that 13-0 run or whatever that Miami had. He hit that step back, which I just went completely bonkers when that happened, like every other Heat fan. And then, of course, in this game, he rattled off a personal 12-0 run late in the fourth quarter, including a game-tying 3 over Drew Holiday, a contested game-tying 3 to tie it at 111. I mean, Miami was down 16 heading into that quarter. They were down 16. They started without Bam and Jimmy on the floor, which was a weird kind of a decision from Spo. He brought Bam in 41 seconds later. Bam hits a couple of shots. Love hits 2 threes. One on very good ball movement to kind of cut it to 6. They bring Jimmy in with 7.5 minutes left. I think they go on an 11-1 run to begin that quarter, by the way. They go on an 11-run quarter without Jimmy, and then they bring him in. He goes on a 12-0 run by himself. Not 12-0 run, but he scored 12 straight Heat points by himself, ties it back up, hits that ridiculous game-tying finish. I don't even know if the NBA deemed yesterday that it was actually a foul on Connaughton, which is funny because, I mean, at first I thought it was a foul on Connaughton too, but then I was like, wait, did Jimmy push off? But I was like, that's probably a good no call in a playoff situation. But again, I wasn't complaining that they didn't call anything, obviously. But like, I was just like, this dude's nuts, bro. Like, he hit that. I think it was either like Love or maybe Bam. I don't know if Bam fouled out yet, but he hits that shot. He completely puts not Drew in a spin cycle, but he spins around Drew, rejects his screen, hits a jumper, stares him down with 2 minutes left in overtime. And it's just like, this dude's calling out Drew and saying, I own you, and saying on your head and staring him down and shit when Miami's losing the game.
Yeah.
Like, they're losing the game at that point where he says, I own you. They're down by 6 with 2.5 minutes left.
That's some goat shit right there.
That's it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen, at least in my lifetime, just that dominant, at least in recent memory, that dominant of a series from a Heat player.
Yeah.
Or it really that dominant of a series from any player. I mean, of
That
course,
that
I'm missing examples. Like, I mean, I know Bron in 18 when that
Kobe versus the Suns when he was hitting all them deep ass fades. It like when he hit one, I believe right in front of the Suns coach at the time was like Alvin Gentry or somebody. He hit it right over Grant Hill and then taps the coach on the butt as he's walking back.
Like,
so that's what I got when I was hearing about Jimmy. But
he was nuts, man. He was absolutely nuts. I mean, people on our Vendetta group chat thought I was dead just because of all the emotion I was going through that game. I'm like, oh man.
I can only imagine, man.
What a series, what a player. I'm blessed to watch Jimmy every other day, if I'm being completely honest.
I would say
a treat to watch, especially in this type of setting when, I mean, he's locked. Like I don't think I've said this on air before, but there's particular plays in a game sometimes where you can tell Jimmy's like, oh, Jimmy's about to have this type of game. Like when he kind of sort of dunked on Giannis in the first quarter of game 1 and then stared Giannis down, or not game 1, game 4, when he stared Giannis down for like a couple seconds and then like ran back. Like it wasn't like a demonstrative like stare, like it wasn't like in his face, but like he was giving him that look after he kind of sort of dunked on him. He's like, and like from that point, you're just like, oh yeah, Jimmy's about to have this type of game. Again, scores 22 in the first, 21 in the fourth, and then in game 5 when he in that first quarter when he blocks Grayson Allen on that jump shot, and he was, by the way, when Grayson caught that, he was like behind the free throw line, like he wasn't even close to the play. He blocks Grayson Allen after just a tremendous help, like reaction. He hits the dunk in transition, and then a possession later, I think it was a Brooke Drew pick and roll. Love hedges it. So then he kind of stops Drew in his path. Drew passes it to Lopez as the roll man. Jimmy seeks that out because he's a remarkable off-ball defender, steals it, and then hits a pull-up 3 in transition or in semi-transition over Drew Holiday. It's just like, oh, he's about to snap again. Like there's just certain plays throughout a game where it's just like, oh yeah, Jimmy's about to have that game. Like get the popcorn, buckle up. This is gonna be fun. Like there's just sometimes certain plays that you could look back on being like, okay, yeah, like he's actually turned the hell up. Or certain plays in a sequence where he's like, oh yeah, like he's about ready to go. Like there was a game late in the season against Detroit. I know I'm rambling on here. I think he wasn't even looking at the basket through like 3 quarters. And this is like towards the end of the regular season. So it's like, okay, who the hell cares? Miami's losing. I can't remember by how much, but Jimmy just goes off for 17 in the fourth quarter. Like it was the easiest thing he's ever done. It's just like, wait, yeah, I get it. It's against Detroit, and Detroit's not good, obviously, but it's just like, you weren't even looking at the basket for 36 minutes. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about here? But that's sometimes a Jimmy Butler regular season experience. But like in these playoff type settings, like you just know he's going to lock the fuck in at some point. And you know he's going to give someone buckets, or at least do whatever he can. I know he missed a couple shots late that he usually doesn't miss in game 5, but regardless, he went absolutely ham jam. Entire season. Again, 38 on 67% true shooting, 44% from deep, and he's not a 3-point shooter except in the playoffs. I don't know what to say at this point. But when it comes to Jimmy Butler against that team with that many good caliber defenders, like I don't know what to do.
So just to stay on the topic of your boy, and no matter what goes on with this upcoming Knicks series, which we're going to dive into right now, I feel Jimmy Butler, by the end of his contract, by the end of his tenure in Miami, he was worth every penny. So I want to
so far.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it would have been nice, I guess, as a Heat fan to hit a 1-3 from last year's playoffs. But I mean, that's just a small dig. I'm gonna let you have your fun and talk about because again, that's just like otherworldly stuff that Jimmy's doing. Playoff Jimmy Butler is real. He's alive and well. So I want to get your take on just the upcoming series with the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks and how that's going to play out.
Just initially, I'm in the middle of rewatching the 4 regular season games from Miami and New York, just to kind of get a better feel about what to expect heading into this series. I mean, just from the initial rewatches, I mean, New York beat Miami 3 out of 4 times in the regular season. Like they played Miami really well. I know 2 of those losses were by 2 points. Randall hit, I don't know if you remember this, but Randall hit that ridiculous jumper over. I may have been Bam, or it was either Jimmy, or like one of the
It was
two.
some ugly looking step back, right?
Yeah, and he went nuts that game. Like he had like I can't remember how many. It was like 49 or something. Like he was absolutely stupid that game. So it's like he was hitting everything under the sun. He hits that game-winning three, and it's just like, oh, what the hell, dude. But I mean, Randall was like hit like outside of that. He has had a tendency to in at times to go off against Miami, but I know I think in the last regular season meeting he wasn't that good. But none of the 4 games were decided, I believe, by more than 9 points, more than 8 points, something like that. So it was fairly close throughout. The 2 things that I'm really looking out for, just based on my initial rewatches, are one, especially after what we saw in this Cleveland Knicks series, offensive rebounding. How effective will New York be on the offensive glass? Again, they were one of the top offensive rebounding teams in the league this year. I think they were 3rd in offensive rebounding percentage. Cleveland was 20th, despite having Mobley and Allen. So just based on what happened on the glass, especially when it's a low-scoring game when possessions are at a premium, the fact that New York was able to squeak away so many extra possessions and so many extra second chance points just based on like the tip-ins and based on Mitchell Robinson just being an absolute monster in that series. Like I wonder how effective Miami will be on the glass in those games. From what I remember, they were pretty good. And from what I've seen initially, like they were all right in those games. Like it wasn't like completely detrimental. Miami was a top 5 team in the regular season, despite the Atlanta game in the play-in. They were a top 5 team in defensive rebounding percentage. And so, again, if you can get collective rebounding efforts from Bam, if you can get collective rebounding efforts from Kevin Love, Caleb Martin, even like Max Strus, something like just get those collective rebounding guys, even though they're not big, like a Mitchell Robinson, or big like an Isaiah Hardenstein, who's also a top 10 offensive rebounder just based on offensive rebounding percentage in the league. Like you're going to help yourselves out in a 7-game series just by closing those possessions. Again, I've said it on the Daily Show before with Ben Donis, like rebounding helps win games. They win championships. Like that's one of the most underrated parts of basketball, and the fundamental part of defensive basketball is rebounding will help win you games, because the most important thing is closing out that defensive possession after you forced a missed shot. If you're allowing second, third, fourth opportunities, well, then you're just screwing yourself in the long run by doing that. And it takes a collective effort. Like a lot of rebounding is just effort. Yeah, you can position yourself well, or like the ball can bounce right to you, but like you gotta put the effort, especially on those long rebounds when teams are shooting a lot of threes. So that's important for Miami, because they're probably going to force a lot of threes. They did in the regular season against the Knicks, and that's like, I don't know how healthy Grimes will be in this series with his, I think, shoulder injury. But like Brunson's going to get him up, Randall's going to get him up, Barrett's going to get him up, Josh Hart might even get a few up. Like there's going to be a lot of long rebounding opportunities, and that's where at times Miami has struggled, especially in that Atlanta game. I don't want to talk about that game because that was a long time ago and that game sucked.
It's old news now.
Yeah, it's old news, but that's the one thing I'm looking out for. And then at least late in the season, when Miami was hedging their ball screens a lot, and they were getting beat, like Brunson was beating them. I want to say Quickly was too, in terms of like just beating, like when Miami was hedging a lot of these screens, they were still turning the corner and they were still creating 4-on-3, 3-on-2 advantages. And Miami's back line was strained a lot just from a possession by possession basis. And New York did a really good job moving the ball, and they did a really good job spraying it around and making the right cuts and making the right passes. And that to me is also just something I'm looking out for, because it's like, I don't know if Miami's going to switch. I don't know if they're going to drop. I don't know if they're going to show and recover. I don't exactly know what they're going to do. It probably depends on who's in the action. Like if Bam's in the action, they're probably going to switch. If Kevin Love is in the action, they're probably going to hedge. Like just little things like that, at least relative to what they did this last series and throughout the regular season. I mean, they're not dealing with the Giannis, but they're dealing with the very crafty and manipulative and skilled Jalen Brunson, who Cleveland was showing to the ball a lot late in that Cleveland Cavs series. And Jalen Brunson was taking advantage of it because, again, they make the right passes. They know the right spots to be in, and they were moving the ball well enough. And Brunson was doing a good job creating those advantages. And when Brunson was able to get around the corner, he was able to make plays with his mid-range jumper or his floater or getting into the lane or whatnot. But so that's what I'm kind of looking at for just those two things initially. Like, how does Miami elect to defend Jalen Brunson? Will they have good enough point of attack defense? How are they going to handle their screen coverages? Like, what are they going to do with, like, I don't know, a Quickly who's quicker and faster than a Jalen Brunson, and how are they going to adjust to that? Are they going to hedge? I hope they don't hedge again. By all means, please do not hedge. Heaven love. At least make sure you have help on the back line. But like, if you're gonna do that, like, how are they gonna attack Bam? How are they gonna attack Jimmy? Because it's like, how is it? I'm guessing Jimmy's probably gonna play off the ball, at least like hard or something like that. He might be on Barrett. He might even be on Randall at some points, just if he gets switched on to him. But how is Miami? How are they gonna try to attack and defend New York? And how is obviously New York going to battle on the offensive glass? And also, how is Josh Hart going to defend Jimmy? Because it's like Jimmy just cooked Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, and Giannis. But New York is a little similar in the respects that Mitchell Robinson's another very good rim protector. But the point of attack defense and the physicality that Josh Hart has, while it's very good, it's not Drew Holiday. And so how is Jimmy going to attack that? How is he going to play those battles? Like that, all that stuff is stuff I'm interested in and something I'm looking out for heading into this series. But that's just me going on, again, a gajillion tangents. Just feel free to shut me up whenever you want to.
Hey, no, you're good. No, it's a lot of good insight. Like, yeah, like you say that you ramble, but it's a lot of good stuff to pick apart. I like with all that, I just didn't hear who you had going, like, winning this series. Are you going with your heart? Or
I didn't do a prediction. I don't know if I have like made up my mind yet. This is on the spot. I probably should have came prepared.
Hey, I mean, I was as you were talking, I was thinking about mine, because I think this goes. I would say this goes. I got, to be honest, because with Miami riding that momentum, knocking off the first seed, they have a chip on their shoulder because they felt like they should have been a far better team the entire season. I know you could probably talk to that as well. Obviously, the Knicks had, I feel, they had their own competitive battle with the Cleveland, even though Cleveland was very underwhelming, and they got some things to think about going into the offseason. But I would say I could easily picture your Miami Heat going to the Eastern Conference Finals again. Like, even if it goes to 6 or 7 games, I don't think this is going to be just a 5-game wash. I think this is going to go down.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be.
I think it's probably going to be the most entertaining series in round 2. And I feel people won't appreciate enough. And like when we get into the Western Conference,
if Miami keeps shooting 45% from deep,
and those guys making a run.
If they keep shooting, I mean, they're not going to shoot 45% from deep again. Let's just get that clear. But if they're going to shoot like 40%, 41, 42% on high volume, like, they would be in a good spot. I mean, again, like, it's different. Like, momentum series to series is weird because it's like each team matchups with teams match up with different teams differently. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. Miami might match up with a Milwaukee better than an Atlanta does. Yeah. But that doesn't mean Miami will completely match up with New York, hypothetically speaking. I think they do, but like, that doesn't mean it's always the same thing. It changes series to series, game to game, and how you adjust and all that. But and so it's like, you're right. They do have momentum. They do feel like they probably should have played better throughout the regular season, even though they probably thought that during the regular season too. And they didn't half the time. So I don't. I have no idea.
You're just gonna remain on the fence.
Yeah, I'm gonna remain on the fence. I'm gonna abstain from this prediction right now. I have until Sunday.
Yeah.
Although we won't be doing this on Sunday, so probably.
Hey, you know what? You put it out into the Twitterverse, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I did that with this last series, and I said Bucks in 5, and it was generous for Miami. And guess what? I look like a big dumb idiot, because I am a big dumb idiot when it came to that prediction. So
I mean, hey, you were thinking You were thinking with again. I feel like that was the popular way to go. And even on the bracket challenge in the NBA, I believe like they had like not 90. I believe they had like 70% of people who participated going with Milwaukee. So you're going with like the majority vote. And a
There's
lot of
no
people
way it could be only 70.
it probably was higher. I probably
Probably
got the
like
numbers mixed up.
97.
Maybe you would have to. I would have to go
3%
back.
being Heat fans. You would just
Yeah. No, but
whatever.
I mean, like again, some people probably think about it a lot more than others do. They may have just been like, "Oh, this is an easy series to predict." But again, anything can happen in the postseason. So that's the series I'm most intrigued about, at least going into the second round. So we'll hop to the other side, to the other conference. We got Lakers and Memphis and Sacramento and Golden State. I want to talk about the Golden State series first because they won a damn game on the road. So now it makes things interesting. But I wanted to get your 2 cents about it. And I don't remember if you gave me a prediction or who did you believe was winning this series. I think you said Golden State. I'm not entirely sure.
I had Kings in 7.
Oh, you had Kings in 7.
I had Kings in 7, but I was very on the fence about it. Like, I may have talked about this with Jerry before the series started, but I think it was on another Friday Daily Show, and I was like, I could talk myself into Golden State winning in 7. Like I was like this close, you know.
Okay.
But I had Kings in 7.
Okay. Well, yeah. Now you had I believe it was Golden State that took game 5 on the road. So now they're up 3-2. So is this series over? Talk to me.
I mean, I don't think it's over, but I talked to a friend of mine about this before games 5 started, because he asked me who do I think would win. I said Golden State, surprisingly enough, because I was like, this is like the time where the experience kicks in. Like, you're Sacramento, you've just lost 2 straight on the road. Of course, at the time we knew Fox was injured, so that also played a part in it. But with Golden State, it's like, okay, they have the series now tied at 2. Yeah, they'd never been down 0-2 in a series before. They tied it back at 2. And it's like, okay, this is where the experience of like, okay, we know how to approach a game 5 where it's tied 2-2. Like we know what we're expecting, kind of, or we know how to handle this type of situation, especially since Sacramento was kind of reeling a little bit. Again, with the 2 games on the road, Sabonis wasn't playing well. Fox hurt his finger, so it's like they're reeling a little bit. Golden State, at least in my mind, saw blood in the water. And they were like, okay, like, we have guys who have been here, done that. Sacramento doesn't. I don't know how Sacramento would have handled a game 5 at home after they just lost 2 straight on the road. Mm. That's what my thought process was heading into the game. And ultimately that was the case. I mean, I know it was a very rough shooting game for Steph, at least from beyond the arc, but Sacramento also didn't shoot the ball well either. I think they both teams, I believe, shot below 30% from deep in that game. Mm-hmm. But like, you're going to get a 21-point game out of Draymond on a hit 10 shooting or whatever it was. Like that's going to help you win games. Kevon Looney getting 22 rebounds and 7 assists or whatever it was. That's going to help you win games. And Kevon Looney's been awesome this entire series, by the way. I mean, unfortunately, wasn't able to watch this game live again. I had to go back and rewatch it just because Miami was on at the same time. But like, I think experience, like, this is where you begin to see it, and at least in that type of setting, with like, again, you win 2 straight, you go on the road, a team who is now battling injuries, their second best player isn't playing well in the series, or at least hasn't had a standout game. Like, how I didn't exactly know how Sacramento was going to handle that type of game. I guess just the longest answer possible that might not have made a whole lot of sense, but I just didn't know how Sacramento was going to handle that. And that's why I thought Golden State was going to win game 5. And they're going to win game 6 too.
It's real interesting how the course of the series changes just really off one shot by Harrison Barnes, or one missed shot, I should say.
Yeah.
So going up 3-1, now being down 3-2 is, it's crazy how like the the butterfly effect works in that sense. Um, I would say that yeah, definitely like you really hit on a lot of points with Golden State, like that championship pedigree. Like they still have those guys, like they know what it takes to win, no matter like what state of being they are. If even like last year when I feel like that team was at their weakest, but then they go on and win the damn championship anyway. So,
Right.
but my thing is, I guess there's two ways I'm looking about it. It's either I would say either Golden State closes them out in 6, or the King. I still go with Kings in 7, but
Ooh.
um,
Okay.
so because I would say at that point it's a game 7, so all of that, everything that leads up to that point is irrelevant. It's more about them
Right.
48 minutes between those lines. So if Golden State allows the Kings to take one on their home floor, then all bets are off. So Golden State has to close them out in 6. I'll give them that. But
Wow. Okay.
I would really believe that Golden State has like a really good shot at closing them out in 6, especially since they, like you
Right.
said, they're on the ropes like that.
Right. I mean, they're gonna need another 38-point game from Fox. They're gonna need
They need a 2020 special out of Sabonis.
they need a 20-point special. They need her to like not shoot terribly. Like Herter, this has been a very quiet Herter series, and I like Kevin Herter. I'm high on Kevin Herter. I know Trey's probably the highest on Kevin Herter. I'm at least at this company, but this has been a quiet series for Kevin Herter. I mean, for all what we've seen for Malik Monk off the bench, who's been a really like big spark plug for them in those bench lineups, especially in the minutes that Fox isn't on the floor. Which again, there's few minutes that where Fox isn't on the floor, but there's still minutes. But I think that he's provided like a big kind of spark plug. He had 21 this last game. I know he had, I can't remember what game it was, but he had like 35 or something. Some silly number that he had. I can't remember the exact stat line for it, but like he's been an impactful spark plug. But like you're going to need multiple contributions from everyone involved. You're going to need Keegan Murray to likely be the Keegan. I mean, he's been better, but you're going to need the Keegan Murray to likely be the Keegan Murray that was averaging 13, 14, 15 a game in the regular season. You're going to need HB to provide you a reasonable amount of production as well.
And get the ball out of his hand in crunch time.
Yeah. Did you see the video where Draymond was talking about like why Harrison Barnes still hates him, or why Harrison Barnes hates him?
I did not.
So
what did he say?
Apparently Draymond said that Harrison Barnes doesn't like him because of like the KD like recruiting thing, and like how he practically recruited KD like in front of Harrison Barnes. Like they were like, because it's like Draymond also, it was on his podcast, I believe, and Draymond says like, I didn't know they were going to trade Harrison Barnes. I'm just trying to recruit Kevin Durant because it's going to make the team better. Like, yeah, you're going to have to come off the bench if that's the case. But he also said that Harrison Barnes like didn't, like, he invited Steph, Clay, everyone else to his wedding, but didn't invite Draymond. Draymond just thought that was like the funniest thing ever.
I did see that bit at least.
Just because of what happened with the whole KD recruitment.
I mean, think about it. When I believe I saw a compilation on Twitter about with like the reason Harrison Barnes isn't on Golden State anymore, and it was him in the 2016 finals against Cleveland, just getting so many wide open threes and just back rimming all of them. So they're like, yeah, I think we should get Kevin Durant in here. I think he'd be a far better solution than HB. But I would say, yeah, like with Golden State, and the fact that I didn't realize Draymond had himself a 20-point game that last time.
Yeah.
Crazy. He's really trying to play for that Supermax contract. Huh? I would say, but I would say, in terms, I believe the winner of that faces the winner of the Memphis Lakers series. So
yeah, it's 3-6 versus 2-7.
Okay. So I would feel like either way, like that's like at least on the Western Conference side, because I feel the Lakers will probably edge it out against Memphis. But I just am more intrigued to see Sacramento make a run. And even when I did the bracket stuff with McGinnis, I actually had Sacramento going all the way to the conference finals. But that was just me. So it's interesting to see, but it says a lot what this team's made of going into going into Game 6, or how they perform in Game 6, I should say, against the defending champions.
I mean, Golden State's been much better defending at home than they have on the road. Just for I don't know why. It's just a weird kind of thing. They were like a top 5 defense at home. But they were also like a bottom 5, bottom 10 defense on the road. It's just like that doesn't make sense. I mean, you're running the same personnel out there. Like, you guys just not, and you could tell like via the eye test too. They just don't guard as well on the road as they do at home. Or at least it's just didn't feel like that during the regular season. I know Game 5 was a little bit different, but it was just a weird type of game from them. But like, also, what do you think of Draymond coming off the bench? Like, how do you think that either helps them, hurts them, whatever the case is, especially when Jordan Poole, you're now inserting Jordan Poole, kind of an offensive spark, although he has some less lackadaisical plays defensively. Like, what do you think? How do you think that helps them, at least in a game like this, or maybe even in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, Draymond has always been such a high energy player. I feel, again, like people wouldn't be giving him as much crap as they do if he didn't lose his damn jump shot. I feel like you saw peak Draymond Green in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals. That was like Draymond at his absolute best. And then ever since then, he's kind of just been like that like two-way, if you want to say that, because like his offensive bag is really just setting illegal screens and handing the ball off to Stephen Clay. I mean, again, it's like I say it like that, but I mean, it works. At least for the NBA anyway. So it's no detriment to Draymond. He's one of the better defensive players of the last decade. There's no doubting his resume. He's a champion. But yeah, with Draymond coming off the bench, I feel like having that energy coming off the bench against like the second unit and stuff like that, I feel like it's a lot easier to play. It's a lot harder to play up against as like with second units. So like with Draymond being that guy, we saw it when Clay was injured and Steph was injured, and Draymond was really just that. He was just pretty much the leader and the point forward. Even last year, I believe he averaged like damn near 10 assists a game. So he can at least get an offense moving even without Steph and Clay on the floor. So I feel for like those second unit guys, it's that extra leadership. And then in crunch time, if need be, you can insert Draymond in there like nothing's wrong. But I feel it's a really good move on their part to have Draymond be coming off the bench, because I feel like it's necessary.
I also think it's a good, like, just in terms of like their starting lineup, it just offers more spacing.
Yeah, a lot more freedom for sure.
And I mean, yeah, Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins aren't the playmakers that Draymond is, and so that doesn't always help facilitate, like, again, the Steph handoffs or the Steph cuts or whatever the case is. But again, Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole are able to create their own offense. And so that helps them in that aspect, at least from an offensive perspective. I know it's a little tough. It's a little bit of a tougher sell to have Jordan Poole and Stephen Curry as your two like primary guard defenders, even though Steph has obviously gotten better throughout his career. He's actually not like a incredibly subpar defender, but I don't know if you would ever want him as your best guard / wing / whatever defender.
Yeah, you don't want to guard somebody for the last
still okay, but he's lost a bit athletically. I think that's fair to say at this point. Like he's not bad, but he's not Pete Clay. Like Pete Clay was one of the best guard defenders, wing defenders. He could guard 1 through 4 relatively with ease, I believe, at least when he was really a really good defender. And not that Draymond takes up those assignments, because he doesn't, but because Draymond's usually guarding like the best big on the floor. So maybe it doesn't matter a whole lot anyways, but I think it does enhance their spacing. And I do agree that at least in those second units, I mean, they're probably always going to have at least one of Steph, Clay, or Dre on the floor at the same time. Maybe even 2 of them. Maybe that's what Kerr does, at least late in the season, as the rotations begin to crunch itself a little bit. But it does give him that extra boost, that extra, what's the word I'm looking for? I would just say extra boost, extra spark, both offensively and defensively, because it's like he's their best backup, I guess, big or small ball 5 after Looney, because they don't have much size outside of Looney. Looney's not even that big to begin with. If you want to have Andrew Wiggins at the small ball 5 without Draymond on the floor, which is a little bit of an issue. I mean, Wiggins isn't a bad defender. He's lengthy, but he's not as sturdy, or he's not as.
He's not a big man.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's not a big man. Simple as that.
But
Like
Anthony
he
Davis
can
in that
hold
matchup.
he can hold his own maybe against weaker fives and better fours. Well, he probably against better fours at least he can definitely do that. But like weaker fives that aren't as forceful, like yeah, he could probably hold his own against ones like that. But there's not many of them.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you're getting bruised and battered up by Sabonis, like that's not going to work. Like so, like Draymond offers that extra oomph there defensively, and offensively, just as like that primary playmaking hub, that screener, that guy who knows what positions the players need to be in for them to succeed. I mean, Draymond's one of the smartest players in the league. And I don't think that gets talked about enough, both offensively and defensively. Like he knows how to get players in their spots. He knows he can read the game well. Like, right, we see the chaotic turnovers at times with Steph, Clay, Dre, whatever the case is. Like that's just the kind of system they're in. That's just how it's been under Kerr since he's been there. It sometimes gets a little chaotic. All right, sometimes there's more turnovers than you would like. And sometimes, like the sloppiness, sometimes, I mean, yeah, it takes away from possessions. I mean, they didn't have many turnovers this last game outside of Steph and Clay having, I think, 5 and 4 or whatever the case is. But it's like sometimes it gets sloppy. Like that's just the reality of the situation. But ultimately, Draymond knows how to get guys in their spots and knows how to read Jordan Poole and Steph and Clay coming off screens. He knows how to set up Andrew Wiggins. Like he knows how to set up Kevon Looney if he's rolling or something. Like he knows how to set these guys up. Same thing with like Gary Payton or Dante DiVincenzo. Like he knows how to operate with these guys, and like they have the personnel to do so. So that's where this comes in for Draymond. I mean, he's going to still get starters a minute, so it's not going to be that big of a deal anyway.
Yeah,
so he's not going to start the game. And it's not always about who starts the game; it's about who closes the game.
exactly. I would say for Golden State, just to wrap it up on that, is that if they go with that going forward, then it can only be beneficial for them, and it's probably a better shot to get like one of those other young guys, especially going into the future, get one of those other young guys in the starting lineup and getting them that experience to be able to develop. But yeah, I feel either way, I feel whoever comes out of that series, I feel it's going to be a great matchup because I believe that Lakers going to just slide over to Lakers and Memphis. I think Lakers are taking it, so whoever comes out of that Golden State series, I feel like it's going to be a fun matchup with LA. But tell me about just like with LA and Memphis, because Memphis, I believe, have it to it's 3-2 with LA at the moment. So
yeah, that game 6 is tonight.
Okay, yeah. So game 6 tonight, and they believe they won with ease against LA the other night. So they traded blowout wins. So where do you see the series going?
Are we sure Memphis can't steal one? I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying are we completely ruling it out?
I wouldn't.
I don't think I would either, if I'm being honest. But at the same time, like this has been a weird LeBron series.
How so?
He had less than 15 points. I would finish with like 15, 14, something like that. I can't remember let me look this up. He had a weird game 5 stat line, and I'm like, this isn't in a 3-1 game. This isn't the closeout LeBron that I'm used to. Not saying he's not saying he hasn't been good, but he hasn't been.
He hasn't like just got that extra gear to.
He hasn't got that extra gear.
He he doesn't see blood in the water and be like, yeah, like it's time to end it.
I mean, I say that, dude. He had 24 and effing 20 against Memphis in Game 4. Right? He was phenomenal. He was the 6th player, I believe, in NBA history at 38 or older to have 20 rebounds in a single game. That in and of itself is phenomenal. Like there's nothing that you can do about that. He closed with that and one over Brooks. Like he had that buzzer beating layup at the end of regulation in Game 4. So it's like I say that like it's been a weird LeBron series because it feels like it's been more fluctuating in terms of like on-ball usage and dominance in certain situations than it has been in a normal first-round playoff series. But it's also like, if you look back at some of his moments, the majority of his prolific playoff performances don't come in the first round. I mean, I know he had that weird 7-game series against Indiana in 2018 against Oladipo, and he was phenomenal in that game 7. But it just felt like a little bit of a more uncharacteristic LeBron series. Some of it, if I'm being completely honest, just not with him, but with the Lakers in its entirety. And these games on the road, it's been like they just come out flat, and you just don't. It's not like they have the sense of urgency to take this game. Like game 2, for example, they just came out incredibly flat, and it was just like, you're going to score 93 points or whatever it was if something like that happens. But like Memphis they're in a weird spot because it's like they can't hit open threes, and that's a problem. Especially if tonight that's the case, like that's a problem. I think I had Lakers in 7 heading into this series. I just thought the size mismatch was overwhelmingly in favor of the Lakers. Like Anthony Davis had 31 and 19 in game 5. And I don't think I think he'll be closer to that similar stat line in game 6. It's just like, it's hard to do like Jaren Jackson, Xavier Tillman, Santi Aldama, like taking on Anthony Davis, even for 35, 40 minutes, like whatever it is. That's a tough ask because that's a lot of brute force coming at you. And like Anthony Davis defensively has been special. Like this series, like he's been remarkable within 5 feet of the rim, whoever he's going up against. I think he has like already like 21 block shots in 5 games. Like that's nuts, dude.
Monster.
That's
Monster.
nuts. But gone.
Yeah. So like AD, it's been weird for him. It sucks that like injuries has been like the focal point of his tenure with the Lakers. Like when he's healthy, they were right in the mix and won a championship. And yeah, I'm with you with the Lakers taking it. I would say, I believe actually, yeah. So the Lakers, I believe, are playing at home tonight then.
Yep.
So I would say they close it out tonight. So I have Lakers in 6, but I'm not counting out Lakers winning in 7. It's funny seeing what Dylan Brooks was saying. I'm gonna have myself. There's gonna be a game this series where I put up 4 or 5 threes and I take over the game. So I'm like, all right, we'll wait and see when and if that happens. But I feel the Lakers, just to your point, since they coming out flat on the road, I would feel like it's in their best interest to close it out at home in front of their fans. But yeah, we'll see what that Memphis Grizzlies team's got. I know. Again, my thing is just to talk about Ja Morant for a second. Yeah, I got the Lakers winning, but to talk about Ja, with Ja and his his uber athletic play style, I saw when LeBron tried to take a charge on him and like Ja was falling. I think like his legs are over his head and he looked like he was about to land on his neck. He needs to develop like a floater or some sort of mid-range game, something, because I feel like it worries me that this kid's gonna get himself hurt or worse because he landed wrong. Lands on his shoulder, he done like blows his knee out or something crazy like that. Because like we've seen it already in this series. I believe when AD tried to take a charge on him, and then you saw I believe it was Kevin Love who took that charge with Giannis in that Heat series. Like with Ja anyway, you got to develop like a floater or get your mid-range game like to a better place, so you're not going for those kinds of scary, because you're not gonna be able to dunk on everybody. He was trying to jump over LeBron. So it's like, again, it's cool to see, but if you land on your neck, you're not doing any good for yourself or anybody else. So that's just my thing about it. But I feel like that's something that will take his game to the next level. He's able to take care of that part of his game anyway, to kind of preserve his needs.
I think he has like a decent floater game. It's just that we don't see it so much we don't see it as much because we see him seeing like, oh, there's barbecue chicken under the rim. Let me go take advantage of it.
Looking at LeBron James' barbecue chicken under the rim is crazy.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like
he has that mindset about him right now.
Yeah, like this guy is food. Like this guy is like literal food under the rim. Like
I'm gonna dunk on the king.
yeah, like I think he and Tyus have one of the like they're two of the most. I don't want to say more prominent. I know Tyus shoots a lot of floaters, but like maybe it was last year, but like they frequently they're a relatively good shooting duo in that kind of short mid-range floater area. But Ja also goes for the throw when it comes to like he sees guys under the rim. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna take advantage of this. Like,
But like I okay, so I can understand that point of view, but you like I
you have
can't
to know how to land that.
yeah, like you got. I
You
feel
gotta know
like
how
it's
to
just
land.
more of like those quick time decisions. Because yeah, again, it's like in during the pace of the game and all that stuff. But it's like I feel like there's certain times that you got to just like maybe think about it maybe a millisecond longer because it's just me like just seeing it from a fan's point of view. And like obviously I'm not at game speed like in the game, but like seeing like I just can't help but feel like he's gonna fall just one wrong way, and it's gonna just like derail all the athleticism that he offers, and like just put a hamper on it. We've seen that with other players, um, but yeah, I feel like Ja, no matter how many games this goes, you're gonna see. I feel like Ja still has like one or two more master classes in him because even like in some of the losses, like running off for like 22 straight or something like that. The
Yeah,
close, even though they lost by like 12 or something. Like Ja is a really good player, but I just feel like the Lakers, at least like not even with in terms of experience, but just who they have. Like with LeBron, you got AD. Like if those guys, like you said, if LeBron plays like a closeout LeBron would, then the series is over tonight.
yeah. I mean, I think unless also if AD goes off.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that would. I mean, that would be absolutely beneficial. But just seeing LeBron, the teams that he's brought to the promised land, I think even with AD having himself like a below average game, I think they'll be fine. But
Yeah,
I guess it just all depends how they come out or how like they game six will be very telling. But I still think I have the Lakers
yeah.
uh taking the series. But
I
yeah, so
think LeBron will be better tonight than he was.
I feel like he has to be. I feel like he
He
has to
will be
because
better.
then you're giving Memphis at least that confidence in game seven. Like if you were able to beat them on the home floor, then like I said with the Golden State series, if it goes seven or just in game sevens in general, like all bets are off at that point.
Yeah.
So just to wrap them on just like the NBA discussion there, we had that was a lot of good discussions. I know you were going in with your Jimmy Butler stuff, which was very entertaining to see. So like I'm just gonna keep that in the back of my head. If I want you to like get the motor going with you, just talk about Jimmy Butler. But okay, so just moving away from the NBA stuff, just to touch on MLB for a quick second before we get out of here. Let me share my screen. But yeah, for MLB, the season is just getting underway. Well, the first month is just about wrapping up, I should say.
Wait,
So
hold up. We have a Jay Crowder quote. He is unhappy with the Bucks.
he was unhappy with Phoenix. So like I feel like that's
This is. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up.
he wants to go back to Miami.
Okay, so we spoke with Milwaukee Journal Centennial. This is via Hoops Hype, and he said,
Okay.
I've never been in a situation like that. 11 years. Check my resume. I've been playing. I've always been playing. I'm very confused as to why I was brought here. I don't know my purpose here and why I was brought here.
He was, yeah. Actually, wait, he was traded, so that's right.
Yeah, he
He's
was
not
traded. 5 second. They traded 5 second-round picks for him, and he played like 41 minutes.
That's crazy, and he's a free agent to be,
Something
right?
like that. Yeah, he was a free agent.
Okay, so I mean that makes sense. That's just weird. Like those are just assets you could have put somewhere else. But
Who's
I mean,
trading 5 I mean, I know second-round picks were going like wildfire.
Yeah,
in this at this trade deadline. So like, and Jay's trade was one of the first that started it. So we're like, wait, they're trading what for Jay Crowder? And then it's like, oh wait, second round picks are just going everywhere now. Like I don't even know who has what second round picks.
yeah, those are
Like, just second round picks just flying everywhere off the board. I know not Dante DiVincenzo. Gary Payton was traded for a few second round picks. James Wiseman was traded for a few second round picks that I think they used in the Gary Payton. Just second round picks going everywhere. Yeah, man. I don't know what to think about second round picks anymore.
My thing is just like with the increase in talent of just like the NBA and when it's going, like second round picks, I feel, at least to me, this is my opinion, that are going to be a little bit more valuable because they find, like, look, you look at somebody like Jokic and stuff like that. Like you see good players that come out of the second round. I feel like that's just going to be like the upward trajectory of the NBA draft in general. But I'm not saying that you're going to see MVP caliber players in there. I'm just saying you're going to see good contributing players.
I mean, there's usually those crop of players every draft, but like historically speaking, it is hard to find guys past 20 or 25.
Yeah. I mean, like, hey, you got 5 second round picks from that trade. You're bound to at least hit on it. Like, even if it's a small hit.
You would hope.
Yeah. I mean, but either way, getting 5 second round picks for a guy who doesn't even play or like didn't like play all 41 minutes is crazy. But
right.
Okay. But just all right. So now we got that breaking story of
sorry, I just saw it. Yeah, I just saw it.
No, you're good. You're good. But okay, so now we got power rankings that will be released for like the end of April for hitters. So I did this with James the other day. It's called Give Me Three. I guess it's like just try to add like some segments and stuff like that into the show. But I'm pretty much, at least here it's a little bit different. So I'll just have you go down the list of the 10 hitters you see, and in like about 3 words or less, you can give a little bit of an explanation if you want. Just like your thoughts of the names that you see. So we'll start you can go with either Mike Trout, you can start with Aaron Judge and work your way.
I'm just trying to get a list. Does this make sense in my head? This is just based on the start, right? Of the season?
Yeah. I believe it was just based off like the first month of the season.
I mean, I'm honestly surprised that Judge is there.
All right, so let's start with Judge. So,
like, I don't know if he's been the 10th best hitter in baseball. He's been very good, but I don't know if he's been the 10th best. Like, I don't hate Trout one. Acuna's been very, very good. So is Muncy. I think he still leads the NL in home runs. He might lead baseball in home runs, actually. Kalenic figured it out. See, I would flip Chapman and Trout.
Really?
Or maybe I would have Chapman higher than Trout.
Yeah, he has been. Yeah, he has been going off. So I can see that.
Like looking at Chapman's stat line right now. I mean, this isn't like the best. He actually might not be one now.
He was popping off for a time to close out the season too. So
that was a little bit of a hot take for me, but 364, 446, 659. He has a 470 weighted on base average, 488 expected weighted on base average, and an MLB best 208 weighted runs created plus, which is 13 percentage points higher than any other player.
Nasty.
That was Matt Chapman. He's 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. He leads baseball in WAR. Actually, no, he doesn't. Acuna does. He leads the American League in WAR, I believe. Yes.
I mean, his glove is still disgusting too.
Right. But like that's a sick. Like in terms, just like. I get it. It's a little bit inflated. Like the power isn't. I'm not saying the power's not there, but it's similar-ish to Trout to an extent. But I don't know why there's 4 guys in between, or 3 guys in between him if that's the case. Like I would have him pretty close to each other.
So you wouldn't have Trout at 1, but also you wouldn't have Chapman that low.
I would probably have him if I were to do this like right now. Just based on what I've seen, I might have Acuna 1, I might have Muncy 1, but I don't think I would have Trout 1. But I guess I don't hate it.
Gotcha. Okay. But I mean, hey, take a look at Vladdy. I'm surprised. I didn't hear a whole lot about Vladdy to start the year, but I do believe I think the last thing I heard of him that he did of note was like he smoked a homer in Yankee Stadium, but I might be wrong
Yeah,
about
he
that.
always does that. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Uh,
okay. So what are your thoughts on Vladdy? Give me 3 words for Vlad.
really good baseball. Really good.
He's okay. Good at baseball.
Really good player. No, I think he got up to a little bit of a slower start, if I can remember correctly, but he's very since turned that around. Looking at it now, stat line 333, 407, 535, 409 weighted on base average, 166 weighted runs created plus, also 5 home runs, 15 RBIs, 18 runs scored in 113 plate appearances. I mean, I don't want to knock him. I think 6 is fair.
Okay.
The other thing that the other person, I didn't even realize this as I was going through this. The person I didn't realize, another who was very low, was Luis Arias, as we've talked about.
Yeah, dude.
He's still hitting 425 with an above with a 1 OPS, weighted 186 weighted runs created plus, 447 weighted on base average. Yeah, he only has 1 home run, but again, if we're talking about like hitter power rankings, I think I would have him in my top 5. But I also say that I don't know who I would take out.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of the give and take with this.
I think that the crazy stat that I saw of him yesterday is that he has right now the strikeout percentage of a prime Tony Gwynn. I believe it was like 4.9%, something crazy like that. And yeah, he's definitely a different kind of superstar level hitter, especially like this is more of a slap hitter and like hit for contact guy. He's obviously not going to hit you 20, 25 home runs, but I feel like he's definitely one of the top hitters in the league, and like batting over 400, like he has probably the best shot to like he's probably going to lead the league in average again because he's that good of just like I feel like a pure hitter,
Right.
not just taking out power and all that extra stuff. So Miami has a good one out there, and it's crazy because it seems like that trade seems more and more like a win-win for both sides with Minnesota. But okay, so we got Wander next. Brandon Marsh has been going off the rails too this past month. But
I mean, really, Wander, and Marsh both have been remarkable. And Wander's also doing it on a team that just like
Tampa Bay, like holy
beat
shit.
the hell out of everyone.
Yeah. Do you think Tampa Bay takes out the entire just takes that momentum the entire season, or do you feel like they're gonna kind of like start coming back down to earth?
I mean, I think they've come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, I believe they dropped a couple of games to Toronto and then with Houston anyway.
Yeah,
but I think it was also has to do with like when it came to scheduling and stuff too. It's kind of like you can say the same thing about the Pirates, who like I don't see any Pirates hitters on there, but I mean I kind of wish Brian Reynolds was there, but the thing is with him, obviously he's kind of like stalled out a little bit. But no, but just to touch upon the Pirates for a quick second, like even though like they played against like teams like Cincinnati and whatnot and beating up on those guys, but then they're giving like the Dodgers a run for their money. I know Milo isn't too happy about that. I can only imagine.
Oh no, dude, the Pirates are giving everyone a run for their money right now. It's not just the Dodgers, but
yeah. So and it's fun to see that team do well again. And then they extended Reynolds, so I guess like they like a lot of things are working out for him at least right now for the first month of the season. So it's happy to see because I remember like 10 years ago now in the 2013 season, I remember prime Andrew McCutchen, like those fun Pirates teams. So it's fun to see the Pirates being good again. But no, but yeah, like Wander doing his thing on one of the best teams in the AL East. Then you got Marsh, who's putting in the work with Bryce Harper out. So a big shot to him. He's turning into the player that the Angels wish he probably turned into.
Right.
So they didn't trade him. But no, but yeah. But then Judge at 10.
See, like I'll go back and forth on this for obvious reasons, but there are a couple guys that I do want to highlight that aren't on this list. Pete Alonso, Patrick Wisdom, Yandy Diaz, Sean Murphy. Like these are guys who have been like incredibly productive as well. I don't know exactly where all their numbers stand in line with Judge, but I feel like they're not far away, right?
Yeah.
Brandon Nimmo could be another one. Like, I think there's probably arguments for and against Judge, but and as well as the other guys I just mentioned, but I don't think it's crazy to say that Judge shouldn't be 10, or not shouldn't be 10, but there's arguments for him to be off 10. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's an argument for everybody you listed to be there instead of him.
Right. Like, I'm scrolling through a list of some names here. One guy who's been going absolutely banana land, and Milo does like this guy, is James Outman. Like,
oh yeah,
it's not crazy to say that he could be 10. No, like maybe Xander Bogaerts, your guy. Like there are plenty of notable. Sorry, I struck a nerve there.
Why?
There's plenty of noteworthy candidates. Not to say Judge isn't deserving, but like I could see the arguments for and against like multiple of these guys. Not to say Judge hasn't been good; he's been really good. But again, unfortunately, he's now hurt. But again.
I mean, hey, but I mean that's what we have with the hitter power rankings anyway. I'm pretty sure come even next week, like this list can look drastically different. Everybody on this list could fall off a cliff for something great, which would be crazy to say. But the most surprising one I would say is Kelenic, because he seemed like he was floundering a lot, and it seems like he's kind of started figuring it out, and that's really good for a Mariners team. So.
I went to a AAA game last year, and he was playing. He was at Tacoma.
Really?
I was just like, oh, I remember this guy's a top prospect. He just hasn't been getting the major leagues.
Yeah, hey, he's starting to figure it out now. So I believe you rattled off, I believe like a home run in like 3 straight games or something like that. Like he was doing some crazy stuff, and he was sitting in some absolute tanks. So it's kudos on him and happy for him. I'm rooting for Seattle. Like I feel like those guys are just a fun team to watch. But no, but yeah, that was what we had with the hitter power rankings. Right after that, that's all I have for what I wanted to touch upon. Like Matt, you have anything else? We're at the hour 41-minute mark. It's a lot of fun discussion talking about the NBA playoffs, and then diving in a little bit of MLB stuff. You got anything else you want to talk about today?
All right. Before we go, I want to get your predictions for these 4 rounds.
Okay.
Or these 4 games. Or I guess, well, they're not all set in stone yet.
Mm-hmm. So
maybe not, but at least the 2, 3 that have already been determined. What do you got?
So all right, wait. So you're talking about NBA, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking all right.
NHL. No.
I was like, oh, NHL. All right, let me pull up the bracket real quick. But okay, so with Celtics Sixers, I got the Celtics in. I would say 6 games, because we say 5 and they probably shit their pants 1 game and then it goes 6. So I'll say Celtics beat Philadelphia in 6 games. Knicks versus Heat. I got the Heat in 7.
Okay.
Got the Heat in 7. And with I would say Lakers beat Memphis in 6. And then I got Kings beating actually, no. I said before Golden State in 6 or Kings in 7. So I guess I'll just give you that cop-out answer. With the Nuggets versus the Suns, I know we didn't touch about it on a whole lot. I think that was like the one series we forgot to talk about. Bullshit. But
okay.
I would say Phoenix. I would say Phoenix, and it will probably go. I would say 6 games, but I wouldn't be surprised because that can be a lot more of a competitive series than people may give it credit for, even like just by looking at the names. But I would say Phoenix makes their way to the conference finals.
Okay. I'll give mine. That Denver Phoenix one does have very interesting matchups. I wonder how each team is going to defend one another, but we don't have to go into that wormhole. I would probably go. I might go Suns in 6 too.
I feel like that's fair.
But it's like also, Actually, no, I'm gonna go Nuggets in 7.
Nuggets. You know what? I'm not mad about that at all.
I'll go Nuggets in 7. Oh man, I can go back and forth on that. I'll have to think about that more. But my final one right now is Nuggets in 7.
Nuggets. Okay.
I think the Lakers win tonight. I'm sorry, Jackson. Please don't haunt me in my sleep. Hope you're doing well. Also, I think Lakers. I think it's going to be Lakers Warriors.
See, that's like that. That's one I would be super intrigued about just to watch. And
Yeah,
I know, I know. Like going back to like if I wanted to just remain with continuity, like I had like just going back to your Nuggets pick, like I wouldn't be surprised by that. And if anything, I might be rooting for it a little bit too because I had the Nuggets facing off the Kings in the conference finals. But it's just obviously this was before the playoffs really got started. So,
I actually did. I think I had Phoenix before the playoffs winning that series. So I'm again going back and forth. But I also had Kings and Lakers making the semis, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore. If hypothetically, if it was Lakers Warriors, let's say both teams won tonight, I would say, oh shit, I'd probably say Warriors in 6, Warriors in 7. Ah man, that's close though. Bron and AD. But I also just think the Warriors are.
I think Anthony Davis would be a far different monster than Sabonis, but
I did that. I was just thinking about that. That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
So I can easily see it going like 6 or 7 games either way. But
actually, I'll say Warriors in 7. I'll say Warriors in 7.
Okay.
I think they win it at home in their home court, even though we've seen LeBron in Golden State in Game 7 before. What the hell am I? Oh, Sixers Celtics. I was like, what the hell is the other? I'm doing Miami last, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Sixers Celtics. I'm probably gonna go Celtics in 6 as well. I think it's just. I think he brought up a fair point about like. I don't want to say shitting the bed, but Philly's gonna hit like a gajillion threes in one of these games, and it's like, okay, all right, maybe 2 of them. Yeah. But it's also like, Embiid's not healthy.
So it has the potential to go anywhere between 5 or 6 games because I don't want to say sweep either.
Listen, if Embiid is like fully good to go, I don't think it's going to go 7, but it could.
A competitive 6 games.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of your Heat.
Heat and Knicks. I'll go Heat in 6.
Heat and 6. Okay.
Heat and 5, dude. Heat and 5 always.
Fuck yeah.
Every day. Heat and 5.
Stand on that. Stand on that. Closing out the show, Matt Hanifan. Heat and 5. He's gonna show up in your nightmares, Knicks fans, if he's right. So, but okay, closing out the show, Matt.
Sorry, McDonald's.
he's gonna kill you on Tuesday. But yeah, definitely, Matt. Enjoy the time. It was fun. Hour and 47 minutes. Talked a lot of NBA stuff, second round previews, and all that good stuff. Talked about some MLB stuff. Thank you everybody for tuning in and sticking with us for these hour and 48 minutes now. But Matt, if you got anything else to add, I'm all good. What? You're good to go. Good to go. You threw the thumbs up. So all right, guys, thank you so much.
I was accidentally on mute. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. Enjoy the time. Everybody stay safe out there. Enjoy the rest of the Friday and enjoy the weekend filled with just basketball, NHL, baseball, whatever your favorite sport is. Enjoy it and enjoy the weekend.